You have another incredible story about Google, and I have many stories like this too, of course. We all do. We have our Hall of Fame and our Hall of Shame, and this is a very fascinating story. I'd love.
I don't know if I'll put this in my Hall of Shame, but I mean, I don't regret the decision, but I'll share it with you anyway. Look, in '99, I was still at Microsoft, being inside the big company.
Right.
And by the way, in those days, '99, Microsoft still felt like a startup actually internally. Right. I was beginning to have my thoughts of doing my own startup.
Yep.
So I reached out to my friends, and one of my friends was the late Rajiv Motwani, another person that I love, and may his soul rest in peace. He used to be a huge mentor and a big help, and the first investor in Digimine, in fact.
Oh wow.
So Rajiv says, "Okay, Usama, I always encourage you to go to your own startup and all that, and I'll help you and I'll even invest." But he and Jeff Allman at the time invested. But I want you to talk to these guys, right? They're really good students. This company I think is very interesting.
The names are Larry and Sergey.
Yes,
is it? Okay.
And they're looking for a CTO. And I think you've got the right background.
This is 1999.
This
like
is 99, early 99. So I talked to the guys, and then the final call was with Sergey, I remember, and I was still at Microsoft, and my debate was, do I go to this thing, and what during that call, Sergey was trying to convince me that this makes sense. He wasn't too pushy because he was, as we all know, Sergey is very confident in his. I said, Sergey, there is no business model here. And there was silence on the other end of the. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a while, and then he said, "Usama, you're right, but we will figure it out."
Right.
And as we all know, they sure figured it out. As he reminded me later on in 2006, I was in Eric Schmidt's office, doing a meeting, and he walks by, and he sort of says, after we're saying hello and all that, he said, "Yeah, well, haven't we figured it out?"
We figured it out, didn't we?
Right.
That's a great story. And you had actually reviewed their paper, right?
Actually, PageRank, when it first came out,
you were
Rajiv was their professor.
Right.
They submitted the paper to my journal, which was actually the first issue of the data mining journal that I had formed at the time.
Wow.
And I was back at Microsoft Research, still, the editor-in-chief. And I reviewed the paper, and I remember sending them some comments saying, your language here is too informal. I want you to just, go a bit more formal. And the guys at the time took it well.
Right.
Sergey did some of the edits, and Larry, and it was the first journal paper on PageRank. Right. And little did I know at the time that this little algorithm is going to change the world in a couple of years.